Welcome to the July 8th Orange Government Access Television Committee meeting. My name is Saul Silverstein. I'm the chairman. We also have our OGAT coordinator, Ron Davis, the assistant coordinator, Chris Kelly, committee member, Mike Muddett, committee member, Bob Kelly, committee member, Gary Del Piano is here via telephone. And we also have our recording secretary, Marlene Silverstein. The agenda for tonight, the first item on the agenda is questions and comments. Does anyone have any questions and comments?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, moving on. The next item on the agenda is approving the minutes of the June 10th, 2021 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion.
Okay, I got Bob Kelly and Mike Muddett made the motion and seconded. Anyone need any time to review them? I've sent them out to everyone, so you should have seen them. No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I heard unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item is the budget. This being the beginning of the fiscal year, closing out the last fiscal year and opening up the budgets for the new fiscal year. And typically I do not get a budget report in early July for June, and I did not get one. And so I didn't expect to get one. So we don't have anything to discuss on budget. So let's move on to the coordinator report. And we have a report by Ron and Chris. Do you wish to go through it, Ron?
Yep. I can't see the top part of that, but I'll read the comments. The town of Orange continues to hold many board meetings and other meetings virtually, while OGAT has assisted by cable casting them live. In addition, OGAT has streamed meetings on YouTube, Teleview, and Comcast, Cloudcast, sorry. Assistant Coordinator Kelly reports that the OGAT studio has been functioning smoothly through June. However, the weak cable picture was continuing to trouble us. Mr. Kelly was able to secure help from the Altice head end, and they found and corrected the problem. The cable picture and sound is now quite acceptable. The Optimum and Frontier equipment has been functioning without issues. OGAT is continuing to use assistant camera operators. That's it.
Okay, the stuff I get, Ron is trying to read it off a computer monitor and it doesn't see the top of the page. Other things that happened during the month is we had 16 meetings, meeting programs, no other events. The total number of programs and meeting events that we recorded and broadcast for the entire fiscal year, which ended on June 30th, is 202 programs. In June, we had 26 live hits on the Teleview Cloudcast service. We had 118 video on demand hits on Teleview and Cloudcast. And on YouTube, both live and video on demand, we had 664 hits.
Wow, that's good.
Those last two numbers are typical. The 26 for the live hits is kind of on the low side for us. Usually it's higher into the like 40 or 50 or so.
I think most of the live, unfortunately, we can't see what is live and what is on YouTube. We can't really tell the difference between like a VOD hit and a live hit, but we tend to get more live hits through YouTube than we do Cloudcast at the moment.
Okay.
How many people do you think outside of the local area are watching those?
Were you saying outside of Orange?
Yeah.
Probably none. I think it's very.
Oh, we used to get some from France and a couple others.
Yeah, that was kind of like an it was an inaccuracy with the way that we were accumulating hits and
that was the old one. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, and we have a better way of doing it now, so it doesn't have that extraneous.
Far more accurate.
Yep.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions regarding the coordinator report? Okay, I'll take a motion to approve the report.
So moved.
I got Mike and Bob Kelly again. I don't know who won that one, so I'll
That's
give it
right.
to Mike.
Whatever order
Mike.
Marlene feels she should use.
All in favor of approving this report? Aye.
Aye.
I heard 4 ayes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the action items. Chris, have you had a chance to address any of these? I know the last one on the list is addressed. That's to contact Optimum regarding the poor quality picture, and Ron reported that that had been resolved.
Mhm.
You did contact the head end?
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I got in the action items list this month. But
Okay.
seeing as next month it doesn't seem to be as heavy in our workload. I expect to be moving along with those other action items and making some progress on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ron or Chris on the action items?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. And next item is probably the important item for tonight, which is the next Cable Advisory Council grant. The grant application is due on the 15th to the Cable Advisory Council, and we had been working on a system to upgrade the broadcast capability for OGAT in the Board of Education meeting room at Mary L. Tracy School. And we had a set of equipment that Chris had been working on for the last few months that totaled about $19,000 or $20,000 or so. And during the month, I guess, Chris spoke to the IT coordinator at Mary L. Tracy for the Board of Ed, and they had a suggestion to change the equipment from a wired system to a wireless system. And Chris has generated a second request spreadsheet, which contains a wireless system. The wired system that we had been looking at, as I said, totaled about $19,000, almost $20,000. It's $19,332 about. And the wireless system uses completely different equipment, and that totals almost $36,000. And I sent you a spreadsheet containing the equipment and costs and a slight description of each piece of equipment. I sent a spreadsheet for each system to the committee, so you should have seen that. I sent it out late last night. I apologize for that. I was a little trouble getting it all together. Chris, do you want to? I mean, we talked about the wired system. Can you talk a little bit about this wireless system and what brought it about?
Yeah, so we travel right now. When we do a meeting at the Board of Ed, we bring our microphones, we bring all the cables, we bring the cameras, we bring our TriCaster that we use for portable shoots. And it amounts to a lot of gear to be bringing there once a month. And generally, we don't mind doing these sorts of setups for one-off events like the town meeting and the budget hearing and stuff like that. But when we're doing these shoots at Board of Ed every month, we had a permanent system in there at one point, and that was very convenient. And this current system is outdated, so we obviously want to update that. And we want to make our setup a little bit easier for us, and we want to make things a little bit neater in terms of cabling. With wired microphones, it's very hard to get you end up with a bunch of cables on the ground. The setup time takes a little bit longer because everything has to be set up before the meeting and then taken down at the end of the night because they use that room for other things, and the tables get moved around. So town hall is more of a permanent setup where things don't really move. We don't have to unplug microphones. Everything just stays there. And when we come in, it's all ready to go. And with Board of Ed, it's a little bit different because they use that room all the time and things are moving around. So a wireless system would really help address that issue. It would make setup time a lot easier. And it cleans up the cabling. So I was hoping that maybe we could look into that system. It's a big jump in price.
It is.
Hopefully we can start going in that direction, and whatever we can get, hopefully we can at least get some of the wireless system. And I was thinking if we can't get the whole thing this year, we could do it in pieces, and that would be okay too. But just hoping to kind of streamline our process and make it a little bit more convenient for our camera operators. And just overall, it becomes a little bit safer too, because you have all these cables routed along the floor. We have to tape things down. Time and safety. I'd rather have a wireless system. And unfortunately, wireless systems just aren't cheap when you start looking into something that, and I actually talked to a couple different people outside of the town. They pro audio guys, and they swear by this brand. They swear by this model. I've seen it used in many applications. I see it out in the professional world. So I'm really confident with that brand and that model, but unfortunately it is a little bit expensive. And the nice thing about that kit is it comes with everything we would need. We don't have to, it comes with battery chargers. So at the end of the night, we plug the batteries in, the cameras stay charged, or the microphones stay charged. Sometimes wireless mic kits come with, they don't take rechargeable batteries, they take AA batteries. So you're constantly going through batteries. And I figured this kit was really nice because it makes the charging very easy. We're not buying bulk batteries and swapping them out all the time. We can charge them, and at the end of the night, they'll be fully charged. It comes with all the microphones. It's essentially a kit that it's an all-in-one sort of kit that's just meant to kind of replace everything that we have in terms of microphones in the Board of Ed.
So a couple quick questions on the wireless system. Do you know, Chris, are these digital wireless or are they the analog based?
Digital.
Okay, because I know the OGAT owned a analog wireless set UHF a long time ago, and that system was noisy as all get out, just too much interference all over the place. So digital, that'd be good. I'm just looking at the links right now. So one of my concerns was, how long does the battery last on the rechargeables? But right now it's saying 9 hours per charge. So, I mean, it will limit Board of Ed meetings to 9 hours. So we'll have to keep them in line. Just to let them know that that's set up ahead of time, because it's very important.
There's other limitations. I think a 9-hour meeting we would run out of memory too on our cameras.
Fair enough. No, so like the only other thing I was thinking of is it looks like this set is nice. You've got an 8-pack and a 4-pack, so a total of 12 channels, if I'm reading this right, of actual microphones. So how many members are on Board of Ed, including like the 12 felt like a lot, but yeah.
I think there's 10 members, and then an additional one will be used for the podium, and then we'll have one spare.
Because I think we normally have.
There's a spare used to walk around, right?
Does the 10 include like the superintendent and everybody? Because I don't think there's actually 10 Board of Ed members.
It does include the superintendent.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one's for walk around.
Well, these are all goosenecks, so you wouldn't want to walk around with the gooseneck.
Yeah. That's unfortunately too expensive for what we could possibly have available. You said it might be done in parts. What would you recommend in parts?
So what I would recommend is we definitely want the mixer. So no matter what, we want that $1,500 audio mixer. We definitely, and I'm hoping that we can at least get the 8-channel wireless kit. 8-channel. The 8 channels around, I think that's what, $8,000 for that?
No.
Yeah.
Or was that 16?
Yeah. The 8-channel was 16.
remind me on that.
4 channels.
Right.
9.
So yeah, definitely. And I took out one camera. Instead of 3, I decided to just go with 2 for now to sort of cut down on costs.
Not that, you okay?
But what I want to do is basically start with the 8 channel if we can, and then add an additional 4 next year. That's my goal.
What's that cost?
That would be, I don't have a,
Hold on.
well, it'd essentially be 8,000 minus the 30.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be 26, but
The 8 channel is 16,000 and I'm sorry, the 8 channel is 16,000, the 4 channel is 8,600, it looks like.
$26,600 is the price if we go the Chris's way. Chris, my other question though is with the 10 members, what would we swapping microphones back and forth? Or would we have to pick up some wired mics to pick up the other channels?
We would bring an additional 4 microphones with us every time.
Why?
Like we have microphones at the Board of Ed, but they're very old. We don't really use them. We have an extra set of 12 here in the studio for portable use. We would just bring those extra 4 and then have it wired.
Yes. Okay. Wired microphones.
Yeah, right. So we'd have 8 wireless and 8 wired mics, or 4 wired mics.
And is this the same audio mixer that we have at Town Hall right now, or is this a different?
No, it's a different one. It's a little bit different. I would say it's a little bit better than the one we have at Town Hall. Just has nicer, like physical inputs that they're just designed a little bit better. But overall, it does the same thing. It has all the same capabilities.
So my only concern there is with training and everything. I understand you are a very brilliant young man. I don't have to worry about switching back and forth between systems, but that doesn't mean we're going to have you forever. So having the same system would be a pretty good size advantage from once you learn this mixer, you're good.
Yeah,
so what is the cost difference between the mixer we have?
Mike, the problem with the mixer is we can't get the same mixer that we have. Well, no one has it in stock. The closest I've come to seeing someone actually trying to sell it is Guitar Center. Lets you order it for future delivery, but they do not specify a time frame. B&H says not available. Every other place I found, it's either ridiculously overpriced, they're gouging, or just not available right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked him at the last meeting to find an alternate mixer in case we cannot get the one we want.
Fair enough. Okay.
The supply chains, as you are aware, due to the pandemic, are a bit of a mess on certain electronics. This apparently may be one of them.
Gotcha.
Yep.
In fact, one of the switches that he wants, an 8-port PoE switch, he had a different one than we have already, and I asked why would that was, and he said the current one is back ordered, and I checked, and it's back ordered till like November 23rd. So that's an issue, and I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted, to tell you why we were going to the different mixer.
Yeah. If you go back to the old days with wired mics, way back, we had like 4 mics for 2 people. I mean, 2 mics for 4 people, and they shared. And that might make sense for you to do it a part at a time, using the radio mics maybe in 3 shots over 3 years. And let them share. Each one doesn't have to have their own microphone.
The problem with sharing microphones is you constantly have to remind people to get the microphone closer. I mean, it's crucial that when these people are talking, that they're talking directly into this microphone, because it's just in terms of getting clear and concise audio, each person has to have a microphone. So it just, unfortunately, it doesn't always, you have someone that, if you put the mic in between 2 people, it doesn't pick up, them as good as if it was in.
I wasn't recommending you put it between the people. They can hand it from one to the other.
Right. And then, but sometimes it just gets tricky because you get a meeting where you got a lot of back and forth and you're constantly reminding people to turn it. I mean, it's hard enough to remind people to turn their mics on.
Yeah, well, we've been living with that for years.
So, and I'm still always reminding people to turn their mics on. So the less responsibility I would rather put the responsibility on us and not put the responsibility on the person that's supposed to be participating in the meeting.
Except that the price is more than we can afford.
Yeah, so
Right.
regarding price, I took a look at all of our CAC grants going back to the first one. And the most we've ever gotten is about $30,000. Last year, we got about $28,000. That included labor. And a couple of times we've gotten into the high 20s, but we've never gone anywhere near 36,000. Typically, in the past, as I understand it, there have been 4 towns and 1 Board of Education that applies for a grant, which means there's 5 applicants. Typically, there's $100,000 spread among those 5 applicants. So
20 grand.
On average, you would expect the $20,000 for each. It doesn't work out that way because sometimes some of the towns, the Board of Ed asks for less money and some ask for more, and it works out. So it's probably a stretch to go for 36,000.
A stretch to go for 26 even. But,
yeah, it is, but it's a bigger stretch to go an extra 10.
So I guess here's my question. If we go for, let's just say we put the budget going forward at the 35 and fully understanding that we won't get it. If it comes back to us at 20, do we then get to like just rejigger it so that we can pick the microphones we want that can fit in that 20?
Well, it's a timing problem.
What do you mean?
You're saying if you don't get enough money at the last shot, you're going to change your mind?
No, I'm saying like we traditionally put like, again, we'll have 2 or 3 things in it. And if we don't get that money, we're just not upgrading a computer or something like that, right? We normally have 1 or 2 things that are, we want to make sure that we put in what we need, what we could get and could be helpful to us, right? We don't necessarily, not everything's a blood need, like it's dead and it needs to be fixed now. I'm just saying if we put in a request for 35 grand, or let's just say 26 grand right now, let's go back to that number, 26 grand, and say, okay, here's our request, here's our part numbers. How big of a deal is it if, they say, okay, you got your award, but it's only 20 grand for us to say, okay, well, we're going to switch to a 4-port mixer and buy 6 wired mics.
Right, and we don't need to buy.
So what do you do if it comes out at half of that?
Well, I mean, again, this is all grant money, so we find what we can upgrade for half of that.
That's most likely. So you should almost plan on it.
So I just thought of this, but so every year there's a capital planning committee, and they're always requesting that if you have some capital projects that are in excess of $10,000, you apply for money from the town itself, and the town may fund it or may not. So one alternative is if we get, as Mike says, if you get part of the money, what can we use it on of our list? And then what do we do about the rest? The rest could be for the next grant, and we make do with what we can buy with this grant. And then we also ask the town to kick in on the next capital planning meeting, which typically is somewhere near the end of the year, beginning of the following calendar year.
Yeah.
So we might be able to, the CAC grant, typically the money comes to us at the very end of August or beginning of September. And by the time we get all the equipment, it's already November, December anyway. And so it might actually, it may be possible to pick up some of it with town funding or just pick up the rest with the grant. And we just have to be judicious if we go this way on what we buy and make sure we can use at least some of it.
I would suggest you also check out, the state has reinserted the PEGpedia grants.
Oh, good.
Put in an application for the whole wireless system. If you buy some through the CAC grant or the town gives you some money towards it, you update the grant request for less money to pay for the difference.
Do you know when that is due, Marlene?
It's on a rotating basis.
It's
What
on.
happened?
Gotcha.
What PEGpedia has usually done was you send in your application and it goes on the bottom of the pile. And as money becomes available, the top of the pile gets paid off usually for what you're requesting. So there's always time to change it if you need to.
Okay, while you were talking, Marlene, Gary, just as you started, Gary made a comment that you probably didn't hear because, as I said,
No, we
on
didn't.
my cell phone, and he said maybe we could ask the Board of Education if they could kick in some additional funds if we need additional funds.
True.
Absolutely. That'd be a great idea. I could.
Hey, hang on. If you heard that, he reiterated what he said, that basically that if what we don't get, we ask them if they can kick in the rest. I'm paraphrasing what he said.
I think, yeah, having those three funding paths. So I guess here's the question, right? At the end of the day, I mean, it looks like from my reading of these two packages, right, the only real difference is the wireless mics.
Yep.
Right. There's one little minor difference I have to ask Chris about, but yes.
So, I mean, it looks like if I took the 20,000 is kind of our base price. Again, you'll probably lose $2 or $3 grand from wired mics that you'd replace with wireless, but you're talking about 18 grand of that's what this request is without microphones. And then it's either you spend, 20 grand on microphones or 16 grand on microphones or a grand or two on wired mics.
So we just use the existing wired mics that are there and make do with a wired portion of the system if that's possible.
That is possible,
right? I mean, they're older. They're not incompatible.
They're not defective. They work. It's just, and I was thinking about it when I was coming up with and I included wired mics originally, but to spend even a couple $1,000s to just end up with what we already have except newer, we wouldn't be solving the issue of all of these cables on the ground, like an hour plus maybe 2 hours of extra time setting up these cabled microphones. So I'm looking, if we're going to be upgrading, I would rather we go with a decision that's going to make our lives easy. It just overall just benefit the whole thing. Aside from just upgrading, we're actually making our job a lot easier and more convenient. And if we have to do it in pieces, I would love if we could get at least, maybe we can only get a 4-channel wireless, but that's 4 channels of wireless. That's four microphones that we don't have to plug in now. We don't need cables for. So, but whatever we can do.
Well, I go along with Mike's idea. If go for the whole bunch and then 8, then 4, whatever we can afford to do based on what is allotted.
We definitely, I would recommend we get the cameras. We need the 2 cameras and we need a new mixer. 100%. That's a must. That's a priority.
Okay. Let me just say,
I have to agree that
you cut it down from 3 cameras to 2 cameras. Currently, you initially wanted 3 cameras. You cut it down to 2. My druthers would be, I would go for the whole package on the grant application and see what we get. And whatever we get, we make work with what we already have and the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And then try to get the rest of it filled in either through capital grant from the town, capital funding from the town, or maybe if the Board of Ed is able to pick in some funds, we could ask them, or maybe PEGpedia if we can go that way.
Yep. Their form looks pretty easy. It doesn't look much different than the CAC grant form.
All right. That's my opinion. Anyone else?
No, I agree. I think put forward the full package and we will figure out what we can get.
Yeah, Gary's saying so moved. We didn't even have a vote yet. But
I agree with that.
I just want to just clarify something for me, Chris. On the original proposal for the wired system, you had two different uh, switchers. You had an 8-port PoE switch, which was labeled as needed for remote broadcasting, and you had a 16-port PoE switch for the Board of Ed upgrade. In this new proposal, you've eliminated that original 8-port remote broadcasting switch. We no longer need that.
So the, I guess that was a mislabel. The 8-port switch will be taken back and forth from Board of Ed to Town Hall.
Yeah.
And we will be using that for any shoot that's not in Town Hall, essentially.
So do we still need it?
We do.
But
we need that. That is necessary for Board of Ed, but it will, when we're not filming Board of Ed, we'll be taking it on other shoots.
Okay, so you're going to use the same switch then. You're going to use that 8-port switch either in the Board of Ed or for remote broadcasting now.
Yep, it did make sense to get two because we don't. Okay. Yeah, but the 16-port I took off completely. It shouldn't be on any proposal anymore because Matt Allring actually is offered to provide us a switch.
Who offered?
Matt Allring from Board of Ed.
The Board of Ed is kicking in a 16-port switch?
Yep.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good. And the other thing I think you said in the email where you sent me your the original proposal for the wireless system, you said something about we could hook up to their internet access or some internet server. What was that about?
Just for we already tap into their internet to stream live. And Matt is just, I wanted to just give him a heads up that some of this equipment does require a local, using a local area network. And like the iPad needs to be, the mixer needs to be on the network so the iPad can communicate it via Wi-Fi. So just things like that. I wanted him to know that these additional upgrades are going to be, he's totally in support of it, but from an IT standpoint, I want him to be able to be prepared for that when it comes time to connect everything and install it.
Okay. All right. I think I'm pretty much out of questions on my end. Anyone else have any other questions or comments to Chris on this proposal? No. Okay. So what I hear is that we want to go for the wireless system for the CAT grant, and to ask for everything, and then use what we can get. Okay. So I will take a motion from someone to say something like that.
Bob already made the motion.
Mike raised his hand to make a motion.
Oh, Gary already made it too, but yeah, whatever.
Gary made it too. Oh, you're right. Yeah. All right. So we have a motion to submit the request for proposal, grant request. I'm sorry, grant request.
Wait a minute. Say it again slowly.
We have a motion to submit a grant request to the Cable Advisory Council for a wireless system upgrade to the Orange Board of Education, plus the subscriptions that are also in this proposal, which are some software, remote login software, editing software, Telview Cloudcast contract renewal, and the TriCaster service contract renewal. That's all in this proposal, in the spreadsheet. And the current amount that I see on the spreadsheet is $35,382.09, but it may change a little bit because some items are back ordered, and I have to get official quotes from our suppliers, B&H, which is going to supply. We're going to request the equipment from most of the equipment from them, so the number may change a little bit when I get the quote. So it's approximately $36,000, give or take. I don't know if we have to do that, but we're going to submit this request. Can you turn that into a motion?
So moved.
Yeah. Do I have a second? Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Right. I heard Gary says aye. All right, we're all in on this. That,
Good luck.
huh?
Good luck.
Good luck getting it right. All right. All right. The dollars aren't exact because, like I said, we have to get official quotes yet on most of the items from B&H. Everything else we have quotes on. Last two items on the agenda are equipment inventory. Nothing has changed in terms of equipment inventory. We had a little, Chris and I had a little back and forth about some of the equipment on the inventory was mislabeled, I think, and we fixed that. Or we got some equipment that I didn't realize was that we had that was part of some other equipment we bought. And the last item is the town talk program. And my sense is we did no progress on that. No. Okay. Anything else? I will take a
Adjourn.
motion to adjourn. And a second by Mike Muddett. Thank you all. Good night.
you.
Thank you.
And
Good night.
see you next month.